Hello and welcome to this episode of Autism Talking. Tonight it's going to be about some bodily issues. When the body is quiet, autism, hunger and thirst. I want to talk about this that many people don't understand. Hunger and thirst and what happens when you simply don't feel them. For many autistic children and adults, the body does not send clear signals, or it sends them very quietly, or it sends them in a confusing way. This is called interoception. Interoception is a sense that tells us what is happening inside our body. It tells us when we are hungry, when we are thirsty, when we need to go to the bathroom, when we are tired, when our heart is beating fast. Some of us can feel this very loud, and some of us don't feel it at all. For many autistic people, interoception works differently. It's not broken, it's not wrong, just different. And sometimes very, very quiet. For some autistic people, hunger doesn't feel like I need food. It might feel like sudden shutdown, headache, nausea, anxiety, meltdown, shaking, or nothing at all. Thirst might not feel like I want water, I need to drink. It might feel like dry lips but no urge to drink, a sudden migraine, dizziness, sudden exhaustion, emotional overwhelm, or again, nothing at all. Some autistic children can go the entire day without eating, not because they refuse food, but because their body never told them they needed it. Some autistic adults suddenly realize at 8 p.m. that they haven't had water all day. I'm one of those persons. I never feel thirsty during a day. I never feel hunger. And people around them might say, just listen to your body. But what if the body is whispering or not talking at all? Or speaking a language you were never taught to translate? Let's talk about reactions. An autistic child who hasn't eaten might become extremely hyper, suddenly cry, get aggressive, go completely silent, refuse everything, or collapse into a shutdown. Adults might snap to people, feel overwhelmed by small things, lose the ability to speak, feel panic with no clear reason, suddenly feel burned out, and no one connects it to hunger or thirst. Instead they might say, stop being dramatic. Why are you acting like this? Why are you too sensitive? You're overreacting. Just be normal. But the nervous system is in distress. The body is running on empty. And the brain is trying desperately to survive. When autistic children don't drink water, it's not stubbornness. When autistic adults forget to eat, it's not laziness. When someone says, I'm not hungry, and then collapses emotionally later, it's not manipulation. It's a nervous system difference. Autism is deeply connected to sensory processing. Most people think of sensory differences as loud sounds, bright lights, scratchy clothing. But internal sensations are also sensory inputs. And sometimes that internal signal is too faint, or it comes too late, or it comes only when the body is already in crisis. Many autistic people grow up being told, "You're old enough to know when you're hungry. Just drink water. Everyone feels thirsty." But what if you don't feel this? What if hunger only shows up when your hands shake? What if thirst only shows up as a headache? What if you feel nothing until your body is totally exhausted? Over time, this creates shame. You start thinking, there's something wrong with me. Why can't I do something so simple? I should be able to manage this. But this is not a character flaw. It's neurology. I think of the body as a house with a fire alarm. In some people, the alarm rings early and clearly. In some autistic people, the alarm rings very late, rings very quietly, or doesn't ring at all. And instead of an alarm, the house just fills with smoke, and the smoke might look like meltdown, shutdown, dissociation, panic, sudden fatigue, crying. The reaction is big because the signals were late. Not feeling hunger or thirst can be dangerous. Dehydration can happen without noticing. Blood sugar can drop without warning. It happened to me many times. I ended up in hospital several times because my blood sugar levels went down to 0.4 millimoles per liter. 0.4, you shouldn't be alive by that. I met a nurse in a corridor once at a hospital and said she had to check my blood sugar level before I left the ward. I was supposed to take a walk to get out of the ward for a while, and after the test she walked away and got another meter. And then she told me, "You got 0.4, you should not be standing here, you should not be walking, you should not be breathing." That is how the body can adapt to constant low blood sugar levels. And that is very, very dangerous. They even told me sometimes when I was in that hospital that somehow I must take insulin to get that low blood sugar. But how on earth can you take insulin when you're not a diabetic and you never had a prescription for insulin? And that comment was made by a doctor and he didn't probably not understand the cause. But that is real life. Chronic fatigue can also build up. Headaches become normal. Burnout becomes constant. Many autistic adults live in a constant low-level survival state because their body needs are not consistently met, not on purpose, but because the signals are unclear or very weak. And many autistic children are punished for reactions that are actually biological distress. This is why awareness matters. For autistic people listening, especially adults, it's okay to use external systems. You do not have to rely on body signals. You can set timers to drink, have scheduled meals, use visual reminders, keep water visible, track patterns like if I feel shaky, I probably need food. Create routines instead of waiting for signals. Routine can replace unreliable interoception. For parents of autistic children, do not wait for them to say I'm hungry. Offer food at regular intervals. Offer water regularly. Watch for sudden mood shifts. Notice patterns. If a child melts down at 3 p.m. every day, it might not be behavior. It might be biology. There is something very vulnerable about not feeling your own body clearly. It can feel disconnected. It can feel confusing. It can feel like living in a machine that does not give you instructions. And when the world expects you to function normally, that can be exhausting. If this is you, you're not broken. Your nervous system is simply communicating differently. And you deserve support, not judgment. Hunger and thirst are basic human needs, but the experience of those needs is not universal. For many autistic children and adults, the body is quiet. And when the body is quiet, the world must be gentle. If you know an autistic person who struggles with eating or drinking, please understand, it's not defiance, it's not immaturity, it's not laziness, it's a sensory difference. And with awareness, structure, and compassion, it can be supported. Thank you for listening. If this episode helped you and understand autism a little more, share it. And if this episode describes you, you're not alone. Good night, wherever you are.